LIB presents Kisses of Tragedy, a collection of love stories by Emma Yadani. Copyright year 2021. Published by Life is Beautiful Printing Corporation. Orpheus and Eurydice. Narrated by certified voice artist Lenny Ilaw. Orpheus' music was joyful and gay, for he was in love with Eurydice, a sweet young maiden, and she loved him in return. "Hi," a baritone voice called out, disturbing me from reading. Groaning silently, my eyes flickering in his direction, I gave him an irritating, irksome look. "Hello," I briefly replied back, smiling weakly, still showing him my tiniest and slightest kindness. "Pwedeng umupo rito?" he asked and pointed at the chair across the table, in front of me. I slightly nodded and shifted my eyes back to the book I was reading. Wait, saan na nga uli ako? Yes, the Orpheus part, my favorite. Well, honestly speaking, I had already read this Greek myth like 100 times already, but I thought I will never get tired reading it. The first time I read Orpheus, it almost made me cry, and that was what made it special among the other myths I had read. It melted my heart. In the midst of reading, I heard someone clear his throat. It was the same guy who disturbed me a while ago. I stared at him, raising my eyebrow, waiting for him to utter any word. He muttered as if he was out of words. His eyes wandered inside the library until they dropped on the book I was holding. He gazed at me, smiling. "Book of Greek Myths? Nagbabasa ka rin yan?" Yeah," I said and shifted my eyes back again to the book, then sighed. Darn, he was seriously wasting my time. "By any chance," he said, "is Orpheus your favorite Greek myth?" I froze, then looked at him. How did you know? Was he some kind of a mind reader or something? He chuckled and rested his chin on his hand, staring at every inch of my face. I felt conscious, so I looked away. "Well, your name is Eurydice, right?" he asked. "So, I concluded that Orpheus is your favorite, since kapangalan mo ang bidang babae dyan." I was stunned. Still, I managed to chuckle slightly. "You're quite right. But aside from that reason, I just fell in love with the myth itself." Now, he had gotten my attention. I've always been fascinated by Greek myths and stuff, but Orpheus is the one that has captivated me the most. Have you read it too? He shrugged. "Just the summary. It was lectured by our English teacher when I was still in high school." He answered. "That's the story of Orpheus, who falls in love with Eurydice, who eventually dies because of a snake bite." I nodded. Yes, Orpheus' beloved wife dies in the story. So he goes to the underworld, which is ruled by Hades and his wife, Persephone, to bring her back. And when he is finally there, with the use of his lyre, he plays beautiful melodies that make Hades' heart melt and give him a chance to take Eurydice back. "But on one condition," he said, cutting me off. "Eurydice should follow him behind, but throughout their exit from the underworld, he should never look back at her before coming out of the cave, because that would mean losing her forever." Then, I cut him off. This was my favorite part. But when Orpheus is already walking out of the underworld, he couldn't hear Eurydice's steps, so he believes Hades has fooled him. I said. When they are only a few feet away from the exit, he could no longer take it, and he loses his patience, so he looks back, just to see Eurydice pulling herself back to the underworld. And Eurydice is gone forever. He ended, and I smiled. "Orpheus will always be my favorite tragic myth of all," I said. Suddenly, the bell rang, indicating that it was already class hours. I stood up and got my things. Aalis na pala ako. Salamat sa oras. Wait, hindi pa ako nagkakapagpakilala. Pigil niya. He lifted his hand in front of me. I'm Orpheus, by the way. He smirked. My eyebrow instantly raised, but as soon as my eyes dropped on his ID, I chuckled and eventually shook hands with him. Nice to meet you too, Kirk, I said, emphasizing his real name. Days passed, we became closer. Sa library kami lagi nagkikita at nalaman ko na pareho pala kaming ABM strand, kaya minsan nag-aaral kaming magkasama. Time flew fast. He confessed his feelings for me and decided to court me the day after that. It took me 5 months to finally say yes to him, and damn, seeing him happy because of me was heart-touching. Baby, so you young liar? I said one time when he came to my house with a lyre in his hand. Yes, baby. I bought this 2 months ago, he answered. Gusto kasi kitang tugtugan gamit ang lyre. Kaya nag-aral ako kung paano to i-play. Kaso, isa pa lang ang kantang alam ko eh. He looked at me shyly. Wanna hear it? I nodded excitedly. Yes! He smiled and sat on the couch beside me. This one's dedicated to you, baby. He started plucking the strings slowly and gracefully, and damn, boy, why did I find him so sexy at the moment? Our eyes met and locked with each other as he crooned the lyrics of one of my favorite songs of all time. Can't help falling in love with you. Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Shall I stay? Would it be a sin if I can't help falling in love with you? My heart thumped rapidly. The whole time he was singing the song, we were just staring at each other. His beguiling eyes were filled with great affection. And then his voice was cold, yet it was enough to melt my heart. Did you like it? He asked when he finished the song. I love it, baby. I hugged him tightly. Thank you. Nag-aral ka pa talaga kung paano tumugtog sa lyre para sa akin. I really appreciate your effort. Of course. He pinched my nose. Anything for your happiness, Eurydice. I'm your own Orpheus, remember? He said, grinning as he winked at me. Orpheus? I chuckled. Their story's a tragic one, Kirk. Does that mean ours will end the same as theirs? He shook his head. No, I won't let that happen, baby. Dahil kung magkakaroon man ng pagkakaibang storya natin sa kanila, yun ay ang magkakatuluyan tayo hanggang sa huli. Our relationship was going stronger and stronger as the days went by. But just like the other typical relationships, ours had also its ups and downs that we needed to conquer and surpass together. Right after we graduated from senior high school, I had to move out the province and migrate to Manila so I could continue with my studies there. Madali lang naman sana sa akin ang umalis dahil lumaki akong independent at hindi umaasa sa mga magulang. Pero naisip ko si Kirk. God knew how much I wanted to stay with him. But I needed to leave. Kailangan mo ba talagang umalis, Yuri? He asked, crying. Do you have to leave me here? I'm sorry, baby. Pero kailangan. I said and gently cupped his face. Huwag ka nang umiyak. Babalik naman ako eh. Kailan? In 5 years. I said. Wait for me for 5 years and I'll be back. Paulit-ulit siyang tumango. Okay, baby. I will wait for you. I will always wait for you, no matter how long it will take. 5 years from now, ako pa rin ha? I promise. Ilan mang taon na lumipas. Ikaw, at ikaw rin ang mamahalin ko. I love you. And he sealed his promise with a passionate kiss. As the flashback of our memories ended, I came back to my senses and realized his presence in front of me. It had already been months since we last talked. A deafening silence took over between us, as if no one had the guts to utter any single word to start a conversation. I stared at him blankly. Compared to the last time we talked, he looked skinnier now. Dark circles and bags under his eyes were also visible. And another thing I noticed, he looked so devastated. What do you want? I asked nonchalantly. He plastered a melancholic smile on his face. I miss you, Eurydice. Hindi ako nagsalita. I remained staring at him, still emotionless. Tapos ka na ba? I asked. Kung tapos ka na, aalis na ako. Hindi ko na siya hinintay pang magsalita at mabilis na akong tumayo. God, bakit kasi nagkita pa kami ngayon? At bakit nandito siya sa Maynila? Eurydice, narinig kong tawag niya. Bago pa man ako makaharap, ay naramdaman ko na ang kanyang mga bisig sa baywang ko. I was stunned. I heard him sniffing, and droplets of tears were falling down my shoulder. I heaved a deep sigh as I felt my heart tighten. I love you, he said, his voice cracking. Mahal mo pa rin ako, di ba? Hindi na. Sinagot ko at kinalas ang kanyang braso pero mas sinigpitan pa niya ang pagkakayakap. We promised each other, right? You told me 5 years ago. It will still be us. We will change the tragic fate of your favorite meat. It will be Orpheus and Eurydice till the end. And we will prove that. Right, baby? My heart tightened even more. Tears were already rolling down my cheeks, and damn it, no matter how much I was hurt right now, my hatred for him still prevailed. With the remaining strength I had, I pulled away from his hug and pointed at him, hands shaking while my eyes were glaring at him. Don't you ever compare our love story to Orpheus and Eurydice, because ours is way different from theirs, I said, emphasizing each word I uttered. Baby naman, please, he cried. Come back, give me another chance, and I'll promise you, I won't blow it this time. No, I said with finality. You will not and will never be my Orpheus, Kirk. Dahil simula nung lumingon ka sa iba, nawala na rin ako sa buhay mo. And just like Eurydice from the meat, I will no longer return to you.